Okay, let's call the meeting to order. And can you do roll call for me, Lynn?
Reed Schuman. Tom Duffy.
Here.
Ron Buckles.
Here.
Shirley Armstrong.
Here.
Mark Mullet.
Yes.
You have a quorum.
Okay, let's proceed. Let me find my agenda.
I'll jump in, Shirley, if that's all right.
That would be fine.
So the first item, number 3, is chance. We talked about this. It's been not quite a year, but as part of the new ethics policy, we wanted to have a better economic interest, financial disclosure, and conflict of interest statement, and kind of combine those all into one. Prior, and this was primarily just for the board, they had to sign a conflict of interest statement, which essentially was what's at the top of page 3. They would check a box saying, I do not have in any actual or perceived conflicts of interest, or I have the following potential actual conflicts of interest, which I don't know was real helpful to the board to fill out when they may not understand what a conflict of interest might be. So we dug through some other counties, organizations, and have it's a lot more questions, but I think it really helps be transparent for the board. And this would actually, my goal is to have this apply not just to elected officials, but also people that we appoint to boards, to have these on file so we know if anybody has any conflicts or economic interests that we should be aware of. So, the first section that's in bold is essentially copied over from our ethics policy. And then we ask these questions. Are you related? Are you or your spouse related to any Sawyer County employees? Who are they? To the best of your knowledge, as a spouse or family member, conduct business with the county. To the best of your knowledge, have you or your spouse or family member received anything of value as defined in the code from any party doing business with the county? To the best of your knowledge, do you or your spouse or any member of your immediate family have any claim against the county? Are any delinquent taxes owed to you by your spouse or member or family member? To the best of your knowledge, do you have any unpaid judgments? Please list all elected positions you currently hold or held in the last 5 years. Please list any boards or commissions that you currently serve on. Please list your current employer. List any businesses that you have a 20% or more ownership in. So I know that seems very detailed, but that's the whole intent. And not, it's to kind of just get everything out in the open. It's transparent. They're on file. If anybody has any questions, a lot of times we assume that, that I'll just use Stacy's here. We know Stacy works for Senator Quinn. Not everybody might know that, but at least she can disclose that. It's on file. And I think it helps board members or others completing this walk through disclosing this information to prevent or avoid a conflict of interest issue in the future. And just because you answer these questions and you might have a family member that works for the county or you work on other boards does not mean it is a conflict of interest, but not disclosing that could be perceived as an issue. So kind of bringing this to the ethics committee to start with, to get any comments or review. If you see no problem with it, it would just be approval so we can move it up through the county to be put in place after spring elections.
Okay, and we did review this at the last meeting we had.
You read a different version and gave feedback right. That led to this.
That led to this. Yeah. So if you gentlemen have any questions or?
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Do we have a second? Tom will second it. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. You can take it farther up the chain.
Thank you. Item 4, just a little introduction on that. So we have the ethics policy we put in place last year that has how a complaint is made, the items that are involved in the complaint. It's reviewed by Corp Counsel. They determine if the complaint is legitimate or has any issues that need to be reviewed. And if they do, they need to come to this committee. But we also decided, I think informally last year, is that we wanted to bring all complaints and Corp Counsel's review and response to this committee, so at least you had understanding of things that are coming in and how they're being addressed or responded to. And so we had a complaint back in initial complaint in October with additional information in November, and response was provided in December. And I apologize for taking a little while to get to a meeting, but just getting this scheduled took a little bit, getting past the holidays and through January. So here we are with the complaint and response, which you have a copy of. Potentially there could be, the committee could take other action than the response that Corp Counsel has made. So that's why we have it in closed session to start with. This is a public document. Both the complainant, and the subject of the complaint have been given copies of this back in December. They're actually both here. So before we do anything, I wanted to have Corp Counsel advise whether they can participate and sit in on the closed session with the committee.
Okay.
And I'll pose that question to Rebecca now. You're on mute.
Rebecca, we can't hear you.
Oh.
That stinking mute button. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
With respect to the closed session question, both under the Sawyer County Board rules and under WSStat 19.89, a subunit of the board must allow members of the board to attend closed sessions unless there is a local rule prohibiting that. And again, your local rule states that members of the board can attend closed sessions. Ms. Hessel is obviously a member of the board, and so regardless of her being subject of the complaint, she could attend the closed session if she so chooses. With respect to public participation in closed session, there is latitude. There's no hard and fast rules. There's latitude given to the governmental body as to whether to allow someone to attend a closed session. The basis for this closed session, it was cited on the agenda as 19.851F. And again, the legal basis for that closed session is if items were discussed in public, it would be likely to have a substantial adverse effect upon the reputation of any person referred to in such histories or data or involved in such problems or investigations. So, in making the decision whether to allow other people to attend this closed session, think about, those legal standards. As Mr. Alvarado indicated, the complaint is a public record. Atolis's response is a public record. And so with those factors, I would leave it to the committee to decide. There's nothing in the board rules that gives us definitive answers as to whether members of the public can attend a closed session. So again, because there's nothing in the board rules, we have to defer back to what our case law tells us. And again, that is within the discretion of this committee. And again, I encourage you to look at what the statutory language is of the closed session basis from 1985. So in short, it's up to the committee.
What she's saying is up to you who you want to let be in the closed session. They both have copies of the complaint and response. If you want a recommendation, I don't see any problem when you sit in the closed session. That's ultimately up to you.
Your thoughts, Tom, Ron?
Excuse me, Rebecca, the questions come up whether we need to go into closed session.
Thank you for repeating the question. I couldn't hear the discussion besides the chair. You don't have to go into closed session. The item on your agenda is, it states, consider motion to convene in closed session. So it's not requiring you to go into closed session. No, so short answer is no, you are not required to go into closed session. In anticipation of the follow-up question as to whether you can have the discussion of the complaint and the response in open session, I think you may, under sub 4.
You want to make a move to go into closed session?
Make a motion.
Do I have a second? Second by Martin,
A roll call vote for that.
please.
Mr. Duffy. Mr. Buckholz.
Yes.
Ms. Armstrong.
Yes.
Mr. Mullet.
Yes.
Okay,
Passed.
we will go in closed session. Rebecca?
Yes.
So if we choose not to have Linda sit in on the closed session, can we also ask Stacy not to sit in on the closed session?
No, Stacy is a member of the.
So she gets to stay.
Has the statutory right to attend. Whether Ms. Silmer as a member of the public and as complainant, the fact that Ms. Silmer is the complainant doesn't provide any statutory protection in allowing her to attend. So no, under our case law, it's up to the committee as to whether she may attend the closed session.
Okay, gentlemen, any thought?
Yes, Ms. Domer is the one that made the complaint against this test. I believe that she should be allowed to sit in on the closed session.
Okay, are we all in favor of that? Okay, Linda, you can stay. Okay.
I would just suggest that the clerk record who's been allowed to stay in.
Okay. All right.
So this is the point where we'd ask Rebecca to review the complaint and the response for the committee.
Because I'm not there and I can't see who's attending, are there other members of the public who left the room?
No.
No.
No, but should I stop recording, Andy?
Yes.
Okay, let me do that, please.
Okay. And do we state our findings in open session?
Nope.
Nope. Okay.
There's no action.
No action?
No action taken? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Yep.
We're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.